Hello everybody, I'm Stephen Woodford, I'm Chief Executive of the Advertising Association, and we're here to talk about how we reduce the emissions around media planning and buying and the whole media ecosystem. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome with me a very, very good international panel. We have Fiona from Dentsu, Fiona Lloyd, she is going to be talking to us from Staffordshire in England. We have Laure-Sarah from Nestlé, media lead at Nestlé, and she's talking to us from Paris. And we have Kieley, who is talking to us from St. Paul in Minnesota. So we've got a fantastic time zone spread and an amazing group of people who are real experts in this field. So I'm really looking forward to this session, and we're going to be exploring the challenges of how we measure media emissions. So first, Fiona, when we talk about measuring and reducing the carbon emissions in a media plan, what does that mean to you in a practical sense at Dentsu as of today?
So I think at Dentsu, we're really focused on three things. First thing is the media owner collaboration. We have to get to process-based methodology. This is when we're going to be able to really identify the hotspots in the supply chain and actively decarbonize them. And collaboration with the media owners is absolutely critical to us getting there, because we need their data to be able to do that. So in 2019, Dentsu founded Dimpact, which was coming together with various media owners, was in the UK, now includes Meta, Netflix and Google, to map the emissions associated with digital media. And with that group and the help of some academics at Bristol University, we created our first digital life cycle process calculator. And together with that group, we established the boundaries in the methodology, which means that we measure the full life cycle, including consumer view, and all of the Dimpact members are aligned to that. So that's the first part, taking media owners on a journey. The second part is clients. Clients want to understand their own footprint. They want to create benchmarks, and they want to understand what that means cross-channel. So whilst the Dimpact work is great, it looks at digital, we needed to develop something that works cross-channel. So we've used that work that we started with Impact, and we now have cross-channel calculators live, and you're using those in the UK and France. And then the third part is our own journey, the practical steps that we're taking and holding ourselves accountable to as a holding company. And that's about being transparent with the targets we're setting and following global standards. So in 2020, we set to reduce our emissions in media by 46% by 2030. And I know there's much discussion around methodologies and standardization. But everything we do, we make sure it's aligned to global standards. It includes the greenhouse gas protocol and it's audited. And we think that's the really important foundation for everybody to start from.
That's great. Well, that's very impressive to see the work you're doing at Dentsu. And I think turning to one of the world's leading advertisers. So Laure-Sarah, tell us what you're doing at Nestlé, and particularly, I think, here and now to reduce the emissions from media.
You know, Stephen's responsibility and sustainability has always been at Nestlé's heart, and we are committed to work all across our value chain to develop low carbon footprint product at Nestlé. And of course, we media people think we have a strong role to play to ensure to decrease our carbon footprint in our communication and media path. And at Nestlé, we have announced in 2020 our net zero roadmap to achieve worldwide net zero by 2050. It means that it's not only on our product, it has to be on all our supply chain, and media has an active role to play. That's why since 3 years now, sustainability is embedded in our global communication and media roadmap. And we have clear initiative to lower our carbon footprint on our advertising, content production, and build greener media plan. And just to take Fiona's point, it's also a collaborative approach. We cannot do it by our own. We are working very closely with our marketing people, and we also need our external partners to help us and to build this transition into carbon reduction. So we are working closely with our creatives and media agencies with the goal to have clear carbon lower roadmap with clear guidelines on our media and production assets.
Thank you very much. And I think that's such a key word that you just said about collaboration. This is about the whole ecosystem, advertisers, media owners. Fiona, you talked about the importance of them, and obviously agencies and the production ecosystem and the whole piece coming together. And I think that's really an important theme for this conference, but also this sector is particularly in the lead of that. Kieley, can you give us a perspective on the challenge as you see it from GroupM?
Yeah, so I think one of the key points that both Fiona and Laure-Sarah had raised is the need for collaboration. I think we will beget collaboration much more quickly if we get to an alignment of what it is, the data, what is the data from a common methodology perspective. So I know I've had conversations around similar veins about how do we get to the measuring of pre-competition so that we all then can robustly move forward in our respective decarbonization strategies. And so I think that that's the most challenged right now. You see that there is more thinking that's been evolved within the digital part of the supply chain. We absolutely need to have omni-channel solutions. Despite the fact that more things are becoming digital, still there is a vast amount of resource and investment that's going into places that are earlier on in their measurement of carbon journey. And then also, I think another challenge that we are very aware of is this kind of offset versus reduction mentality. And certainly we're not ones to say don't make progress, whatever that might look like. However, we really are, our guiding principle is about reduction first. And so that is also being impressed through collaboration upon our media partners as well.
And I think that's a great phrase that we use increasingly around AdNet Zero, particularly, which is about pre-competitive collaboration, bringing together all of the great initiatives that are happening across the industry and trying to find a way of organising them so we're not reinventing the wheel anywhere, and we're collaborating to, in effect, make the progress go as fast as we possibly can. And I think one of the things, and I think that's that point now about just, there are things we can do now to significantly reduce the carbon. Laure-Sarah, I've heard you talk before about some of the testing that you've done at Nestlé to look at how you can take a schedule and then, by making better choices, make a significant impact on the carbon. Perhaps give people a couple of minutes on how you've done this, because I think this is an incredibly inspiring approach that you've been taking.
Thank you, Stephen. Yes, we have been working closely with Publicis in a collaborative think tank with other media owners and advertisers. And we had a clear goal to understand our carbon footprint in digital video. And among understanding impact, we wanted also to understand how we can lower this impact. And it was not enough, because we know that to embark our marketing teams, we need to ensure to keep good results in terms of media KPIs and brand equity results. So we had to ask ourselves those questions, and we have imagined a specific study with the help of Impact Plus. Impact Plus, it's a French startup who has developed a specific algorithm to calculate the carbon footprint on the digital video campaign. And we have worked closely with them with a specific protocol. On a Nescafé campaign, we have decided to test two kinds of campaign. The traditional one, the one that we used to do all the day for all our brands at Nestlé, and the specific one, which has been designed to be less carbon footprint. And how did we do that? We have worked with Impact Plus on to adapt the campaign. So we have optimized the campaign on creatives, taking our traditional campaign, which is developed traditionally with stereo sound, and put it in mono sound. We have also reduced the video compression. And on broadcasting, we have decided to broadcast on mobile Wi-Fi connection instead of 4G. And we also have overpressed on weekends, Monday and Friday, because we knew through Impact Plus that those days will have less carbon impact. And we have run those two campaigns on the same target, with the same storytelling and with the same budget. And what we saw on the result is that the campaign, which has been designed to be less carbon footprint, had a carbon impact lower from 47% than the classical one. So yeah, we have achieved these results only by making those small changes, those pragmatic changes, hygienic changes, and at the same time, we saw that our media performance were exactly the same. We could imagine that targeting into Wi-Fi instead of 4G would lower our reach, and it was not the case. The reach remains the same. We could imagine that the monosound would reduce the performance of the campaign, and the performance remains the same. So we had the same media performance, and we also tend to maintain the same performance in terms of brand equity. And it's for us a very, very strong result, because it means that by doing those very little changes, pragmatical changes, we can achieve a great results in terms of carbon footprint, and still keeping the same brand equity and the same media result, which is absolutely important for our marketing teams to follow us on our sustainability guidelines.
Thank you, Laure-Sarah. I think the inspiring thing about what you were just talking about was, as you termed it, the hygienic factors that you're looking at ways of, in effect, cleaning out carbon out of the media ecosystem by making really smart choices around day of week and delivery mechanism, Wi-Fi versus 4G. All these things are achievable now in terms of planning. And I think, Fiona, turning to you and thinking about Dentsu and thinking about these sort of applications now that you're making with your teams and with your clients to reduce carbon. Perhaps give us some insight into that.
Yeah, so I think, the calculation is doing those calculations with clients, showing them what that looks like, being able to humanize it and say, for this campaign, this was the carbon impact of this campaign, and that equates to 90 flights from the UK, and really bring it down to really simple human terms is really helping take clients on a journey. And I think that's a really important first step, because let's be honest, knowledge is a challenge that we all face, and it's a challenge that all of us must overcome within our organizations. Media directors like Laure-Sarah having to become experts in carbon methodology. It's a big journey that we're all going on together, and I can see everyone smiling because it's an awful lot to learn. So I think that's really, really important. I think where we're focused on is getting to those roadmaps, getting the calculations done, getting the conversation started, and getting to those roadmaps. How can we partner with our clients to drive education, share information? And in this instance, when it comes to sustainability, the walls of conflict don't exist within agencies, because if one client is accelerating in this space, then it's on us to take that to another client. It's not competitive at all, as we've been saying. So I think practically we've now got carbon decarbonisation roadmaps with many of our international clients. We've baked it into our business planning, so it's actually a mandate now for all of our global clients to actually go to their clients and make sure that these conversations are happening and there's some real action happening there. And then I think going back to the supply side, seeing organizations like Netflix using that impact calculator to understand their own footprint is a really positive step in the right direction. It's only when we can identify those emissions hotspots that we can really make a difference. So that's really encouraging as well.
Thank you very much. And yeah, it's I think that putting it into the planning for every client is such a critical thing that it's got to become part of the day-to-day way we do business. And I think the training and expertise is also a critical factor. And I will put a small plug in here for the Ad Net Zero Essentials course, available online, and we'll give everybody the basics of what they need to think about. I think it is for everybody in our business to skill themselves up This is not just for the sustainability experts or the planners or technical people involved in production. This is for every single practitioner, from advertiser through to agency through to media owner. Kieley, I know at GroupM you've been thinking about how not just GroupM improves, but the industry moves forward in terms of measurement in media. And we've heard from Fiona about D'impact. Tell us a little bit about what you've been thinking at GroupM.
Yeah, so in terms of what we've been thinking about, WPP is the only holding company that includes media decarbonization in our Scope 3 commitments around net zero. So we had to put skin in the game very early on to be able to deliver upon that promise that we've made. And with that, we had partnered with a kind of a well-respected, big-named consulting firm about sustainability to develop an omni-channel calculator. Very much in the theme of the conversation that we've had today. It doesn't do us many favors to keep that to ourselves. We need for that media supplier collaboration. And so we are open sourcing that methodology. We very much welcome and know it will be an iterative process. So if there are things that need to be considered to be additive, by all means. But it was really important to us that it be omni-channel from the very beginning. With respect to a diversity of media, the fact that different people do not necessarily have access to broadband digital anywhere in the world, and that there is still significant value in free press around the world. So really making sure that the economics of a diverse media landscape are not hurt by a methodology that maybe is especially focused on one channel, which has lesser supply input. So really the theme that we've had is in open sourcing, that thinking and trying to get collective momentum on board. And I think to Laure-Sarah's point and the specific types of actions that are absolutely accessible to us today, GroupM has created a GroupM premium marketplace. Kind of tantamount into what we're putting together is a much more curated approach with the SSP, so the supply side of programmatic delivery. If we can have lesser calls and lesser digital glut in the ecosystem, exactly the same advert gets delivered on exactly the same publisher that was intended, just through fewer pipes. We recognize that not only is there an economic benefit, we're able to deliver strong economic savings on a plan, but also there's lesser carbon. So really in the economic headwinds that I think we're collectively recognizing that we'll be facing, and advertisers still have product to sell, we think that there are some great elegant solutions that are readily available today.
Yeah, and I think certainly the open source principle is very helpful here. We're at Net Zero. This is the number one challenge for our new global group, is what's going to be the media framework. And we're talking to Fiona, your colleagues at D'impact, to see what they will bring to the party. Obviously, GroupM. Laure-Sarah, there's probably more innovation in France as a market than maybe anywhere else in the world. And we've been talking to various trade bodies and businesses in France about all the great stuff that's happening there. So, you know, our job in a sense is to try and bring this all together and make the sum add up to more, make the whole greater than the sum of the parts. So that's what we're really focused on, and we've got a fantastic group of global businesses really engaged in that, including Dentsu and WPP, the other 4 holding companies, Google, Meta, Sky, Unilever, Reckitt, and Pubmatic, with another few companies about to be announced. So we've got an amazing global coalition of 12 companies and now 11 trade bodies supporting this, and this will grow in the coming years. And particularly we're excited about launching our Net Zero USA, which was launched in mid-October in New York. So we're building momentum here, but the media challenge is the biggest one to solve. And thinking forward, maybe we'll just close with maybe 1 minute from each of you, just about what your hopes are for the future. So Laure-Sarah, as somebody from a global advertiser, what do you want to see happen in the years ahead?
What I like to see is action, and I think we really need to take actions now. We can wait to have the best carbon calculator, but I think it's not our role. What I really appreciate in what we've done at Nestlé is, after having this study on Nescafé, we have started to commit ourselves with 10 golden rules to apply to all our video campaigns and to start to reduce our cardboard footprint by acting on the content and on the broadcast. And what I'd like to change also is KPIs. You know, we tend to work with KPIs that we have been working for decades now. And I like to take the example of the website. We assume that people spending time on brand website will increase their brand equity, which maybe it's true. But when we look at this KPI, the time spent on the website with our footprint, with the footprint carbon, we know that the more the consumers spend on the website, the greater impact they will have on the footprint carbon. So we need to think at the KPIs we are looking on. I don't know what will be the next one, but we need to reconcile and to have both of we have to have the best of the two worlds. Still have a great media and a strong equity impact, but really lower our cardboard footprint and get the right KPIs to do it.
No, Fiona, closing words from you about what you hope to see in the coming years.
So I think we want to get to a place where, as media agencies, our clients are coming to us and saying, here's your media budget and here's your carbon budget. And some of the stuff that Laure-Sarah was talking about with her wonderful example there is our job will be at that planning stage. How do we synthesize the media budget and deliver on all of the communications objectives that the client needs us to, and deliver the performance within the campaign within a defined carbon budget? And I think having that as the North Star for where we're all headed, because when every media agency in every brief that's going in has a carbon budget and a media budget, then we're having real impact at scale.
Fantastic. And Kieley, I think you've got a tough act to follow in both of those final visions for the future, but anything you would like to add to that?
Yeah, I think the way that we best accomplish exactly those wonderful ideals that we're all sharing and very spiritually aligned on is to have a common way that we count, so that the budget is counted the same way, so that when Nestlé has different agencies around the world, they're not getting different answers. When we're working together on, are we using a meter stick, or are we using a yardstick, then we can get onto the business of driving this really positive change that we're all collectively wanting to champion.
Well, thank you, everybody, for a terrific discussion. What I think I've taken away from this is the importance of collaboration, the importance of sharing the innovation and the best practice that's going on across the industry, the importance of small things making a big difference when you add them and scale them by many millions of decisions. So these are all really, really critical lessons for us to go forward. And remembering again that media is the single biggest component of the carbon footprint of the advertising world. So we have to work as fast and go as far as we can to decarbonise media operations. So huge thank you to Laure-Sarah, to Kieley and Fiona. It's been a fantastic discussion. It's great to see you all. And thank you for telling us about all the great work that you're doing within your businesses. Thank you all very much.